Yeah, and I think there is something to be said about homelessness, particularly in CD1 around the Westlake area. There is a high concentration, and I got attacked for being a transphobe because I did make a very ignorant statement about a year and a half ago online about sexual reassignment surgery. And I'd just like to tell you what I've had to go through in terms of preparing to be here in front of you tonight, which has been a pretty intense education in not gender reassignment surgery, but the actual, but what I would say are the actual needs in the trans community in Los Angeles, and particularly in the First District, which is that they face an inordinately high rate of homelessness. They're subject to an inordinately high rate of physical abuse, substance abuse. Their cries for physical assistance and help are often ignored, so there's a lot of psychological trauma. And so there are a number of ways of addressing it. I think the First Council District needs someone who's willing to try and be a champion, try and let those voices shine through. We, for the first time in ever, have a trans advisory committee that's got a 6-member body, 5-member body appointed by the mayor right now, that's appointed to address these issues in civil government. So working with them is a big deal. There's an LGBTQ task force within the LAPD. And then there are a ton of nonprofit groups I've spoken with, a good half a dozen, that have repeatedly said we need specific set-asides for LGBTQ housing, we need set-asides for specific targeted outreach, because they're, again, sometimes 40% of the population are, you know, young gay men or young trans men and women in a shelter. And they're just way overrepresented when the overall population, there'll be 5 or 10%. In the homeless population, it's 40%. So there's a lot that has to be done there that is a targeted fiscal approach, there's a targeted cultural and marketing approach. And then there has to be a lot of close coordination with law enforcement, because a lot of, there are in Westlake, at the Silver Spoon on 7th Street and Carondelet or Coronado, I can't remember, they're so close together. There's a bar that will be closed, and you'll still see all these women out front. And there are maybe like 20 or 30 trans women that basically sustain themselves by, the bar will be closed, but they're still in business. And it's sometimes the only place they can go for socializing, but it also exposes them to all the things I told you about: homelessness, crime, physical abuse, psychological trauma, and particularly access to healthcare. So I think quite the contrary to being transphobic. I was raised in a Unitarian Universalist church. I had a gay pastor. I house sat for 2 lesbian women when I was 14 when they went away for vacation. I started a community space called the Bike Oven that has, from the very beginning, been of, by, and for radical inclusivity of everybody in the neighborhood, and anyone who, in this case, wanted to fix their bike, or more often than not, just complain about, you know, whatever in their life was getting them down. But that was actually the best part of it, because they actually broke more bikes than we fixed. Yeah, it's the truth, sadly. But so when those claims are made in that LAist article, one of the hard parts was expressing what I expressed to you in a meaningful way about who I am and what my values are. And it's been really shocking how quickly those claims were repeated, despite the lifetime I feel I've tried to make the case of who I am as a person. And I hope that some of you will feel that tonight, that you see someone who has tried to do as much work as possible to prepare to take power in this district, but that also is someone who is not what the LAist or the people that have repeated that one blogger's claims have said who he is. And that was quite long-winded, so. And I know you asked about homelessness, and somehow we ended up there.
Well, I think it's good. I think it's good to address it as much as everyone wants to address